What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. This is your weekly reactor hunt video for the First Descendant. I do one of these every Tuesday, since every Tuesday the location, the missions, the areas where certain combinations of reactors can drop changes, and so therefore you can target farm specific areas for specific reactor combinations that you're looking for the Descendant of your choice. Now, this video covers the 28th of January until the 4th of February, and pretty much how I compile this information is I make myself a list like this. This has all of the best in slot reactor combinations per Descendant that we currently have in the game. Then we can also combine that list together to figure out that certain Descendants use the same reactor combinations. So therefore, when you're farming for burning mechanics, aka fire and tech, which is Lepic's reactor of choice, you are also farming for Izamo, and so therefore you can cut down on some of the farming required to get the perfect reactor combinations for all your favorite Descendants, at least even just by a little bit. Now in the game itself, you can also find this information by just going to difficulty level rewards, and this system in here essentially allows you to drop in the different combinations, and you can then kind of like find whichever reactor that you're looking for. Now this week is a semi-decent week, and we're going to start off with Ajax, Kyle, and Luna. Ajax, Kyle, and Luna use non-attribute tech, which is this reactor over here. It's a materialized mechanics reactor, and that's because all of their abilities basically derive their strength from tech. Now bear in mind, this is for if you want to build buff Luna. So if you want to build the Luna that can empower her partners, her teammates, then you would need this reactor type. So not to be confused with the AoE damage Luna, which uses a different reactor combination. Now, if you are looking for Ajax, Kyle, and Luna reactors this week, I got you. We can simply go over here and we can say non-attribute, and we can say tech, and it's going to spit out an area called Grand Square. Grand Square is in Kingston. It's the very first area in the game, and there's a mission here called Kingston Surveillance Radar. It's a short little recon or extermination mission, as they call them, and essentially you come into this area, bring yourself a AoE character like Valby can work really well here, Bunny can work well here, Ines can work well here, Freyna can work well here. Anything that can deal AoE and move across the area very fast. Even Ajax, good old jumping jack Ajax, can do this as well. But pretty much just clean all the enemies out in this area. It's a quick little fast mission. You can reset it and then just go again, and you should get a fairly decent amount of these reactors to drop in this area, and hopefully one of the ones that you're looking for. Next up, it also happens to be a good week for Sharen. So Sharen, of course, uses Tingling Mixture, which is electric and fusion. So if you're looking for a good reactor for her this week, you can dust off your Valby, because you're going to be looking for something with her. So we're going to go over here, we're going to select fusion, so electric fusion. We're going to get an area called Mirage Stone. Mirage Stone is in Agna Desert. Mirage Stone has an outpost at the top here that you can do in the Valby method. Basically what you do is you configure your Valby to have a very small third ability, so you don't increase the range of it at all, but you do increase the strength of it so that you can one tap all the enemies. And essentially you just run a circuit on the inside of this outpost for the entire duration of the 2 minutes and 36 seconds until you naturally fail it, making sure not to kill the boss. If the boss does wander off into your water and stuff like that, you can just pause on the other side, shoot him a bit, bring him back into the middle. You can use your fourth ability to kind of like pull them back in. But the bottom line is you should configure your Valby not to absolutely dumpster this boss if it just comes near your abilities. And I have a video on the channel exactly for this. So if you want to configure your Valby in exactly the way that I was just explaining, go ahead and look for that Valby method video on my channel, and you should be good to go. Hopefully you can find some decent reactors here. This area also obviously drops decent XP, weapon proficiency, gold, and Kuiper. So overall, you're not losing out by spending a couple of hours just looking for the perfect reactor here, because you will also accumulate some of those resources, and we all need money and Kuiper, don't we? Then the latest Descendant which joined the roster is, of course, Ines. Ines is the hot shit right now, and you might be looking for a decent reactor for. Now this week we have a farm for her. It's not, I would say, fucking perfect, but it's okay. But I do want to just explain something quickly. When it comes to Ines, you technically speaking have two potential reactors that you can look for. She is Tingling Singularity without her Transcendent mod, and that would mean that it would be the same reactor as Bunny, which is Electric Singular. But then if you want to play her with a Transcendent mod which excels at killing bosses like the Filer, but also excels at just doing like group-based content, pretty much it's her best Transcendent mod. Of course, what I'm referring to is Time of the Hunting Hounds. So if you equip this Transcendent mod, it actually changes all of her abilities to tech, electric tech. You can see it there. I'll just move my face over here. Electric tech, 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 and tech. So in that case, you're going to need a different kind of reactor. You're actually going to need tingling mechanics, which is electric tech. So this week there is a decent farm for that. It's not as lucrative as we've seen in the 2 previous weeks, but nonetheless, it is a way for you to still grind away at these reactors if you're looking for them. So electric tech gives us classified area. This is within the sterile land, and there's a mission here called Large Nuclear Reactor. It's one of these composite missions. What I mean by that is essentially it's a circle that you have to capture in the middle. The mission timer says 3 minutes, but if you stay in the circle the entire time, you can finish this in just over 90 seconds. And you can play this with an AoE character like Bunny, or you can use Kingsguard Lance or whatever, and you can just kind of like create the kill box in the middle of that circle. All the enemies will come to you. None of the enemies in this particular mission are ranged, so they won't shoot at you. You don't have to dip out of the ring at all. Also, don't shoot them before they get to you, because that way you can just be lazy, stay in the circle, just pick up all the shit that they bring to you, finish it in 90 seconds, rinse, repeat, and hopefully you get a decent Ines reactor for yourself. Keelan's up next, and I really feel bad for this dude because he of course showed up at the beginning of season 2 and he was supposed to be the hot shit, and he's kind of like fucking terrible compared to Ines. But then again, so are most Descendants. But that being said, you might still be looking for a decent reactor for your Keelan. And there's a little bit of nuance I have to explain here as well. So Keelan also has the situation where technically his abilities are split between 2 different damage types. So you'll see that his 1 and his 4, right? His 1 and his 4 are toxic fusion, and his 2 and his 3 are toxic singular. Now basically you could build either which way, but it's kind of like the idea is that toxic singular, I believe, is like his mobbing or his fast sort of like content doing like reactor combination. And that's a good thing because this week we actually have that reactor combination available. So not toxic mechanics that you're looking at here, but actually what you're going to be looking for is toxic singularity, which is toxic singular. So if we go here, boom, 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 and we select toxic and we go singular, you're going to see a mission here, or an area rather, called repository. Repository is in sterile land, and it has a mission called Kuiper Mine. Now this was pretty famous back in the day because this was a very, very good way to accumulate a decent amount of XP, weapon proficiency, gold, Kuiper, and just a shitload of items, guns, reactors, all that shit. Because what you do is you go into this area, the mission itself expects you to press a button and then dismantle 7 mines. But you're not going to do any of that shit. You're just going to stay in the middle, and the enemies will keep on spawning for the entire 5-minute duration of this mission. So you're just going to kill them, and every once in a while you're just going to dip out and just pick up all the shit. And you're going to do this for the entire 5 minutes and then fail the mission and then go again. This is going to net you a decent amount of items, and some of those items of course will be reactors. And hopefully you can get the Keelan reactor that you're looking for from this mission. And then I've got one last one for you, and that is of course Viessa. Now Viessa as well, you can technically use 2 different reactors for her. If you are playing the, I would say, normal Viessa that does not use absolute zero, okay? So if you're playing something like, let me show you, like if you're playing cold-blooded Viessa, for example, right? So any build of Viessa that does not use absolute zero, anything else like cold-bloodedness or so on, will use a reactor combination that is frozen mechanics. It will be chill and tech, because the star of your build in that case will be your 4th ability, which is Blizzard, which is chill and tech. So if you are looking for a chill and tech reactor for Viessa because you like to play cold-bloodedness or something like that, and you're basically, as I mentioned, not building absolute zero. And the reason why I'm harping on about this is because if you build absolute zero, then it changes her to chill and singular. So if you want chill and tech like this because you want to play cold-bloodedness, there is a farm for you this week. We're going to go here, we're going to say chill, and we're going to say tech, and we're going to have an area here called Converter Facility. This is within Fortress, and you guessed it, there's an outpost here, and you know what we do at outposts? We go get Valby, and we do the Valby method. So this outpost can be done exactly the same way. You can run your little Formula 1 fucking circuit inside there for the entire 2 minutes and 36 seconds. You'll get some XP, weapon proficiency, gold, Kuiper, but you'll also get some reactor drops, and that is dope. Then I usually also take the opportunity to just give a shout out to any external component farms that might be good this week. You might be wanting to farm external components so that you can build yourself up a farm set or something like that. So in that case, you can also use this utility, by the way, to search for that. And instead of keeping it to reactors, we're just going to switch to the 4 different kinds. Now, I've already looked at this, and the only one that I want to give a shout out to is processors. If you want to look for some processors with 2 golden rolls on them that could potentially be a decent farm set or something like that, you go to Abandoned Zone. Abandoned Zone is in Echo Swamp, and there's a mission here called Environment Contamination Zone. Very famous mission because of Bunny, but you can do this with any AoE character that can clean this area up fast. So Valby can do this as well. Ines can do this. I think Keelan can do this. Anything that can move fast, because you want to cut down on the travel time and you want to move as fast as possible. It's essentially a circuit that you run. You dip in underneath the caves, and eventually you get to 2 yellow bars who you smoke, and then you just jump out the back of the cave and you rinse repeat, and that's basically the farm. This is a very, very efficient mission to farm, because if you can complete it fast, your gold, Kuiper, weapon proficiency, and character XP per hour is actually pretty damn decent. It's not nearly on the level of something like Spec Ops, but the bottom line is you will not be wasting effort here grinding out like whatever you're grinding here. And in this particular case, you can grind processors here this week, which means that instead of it dropping usually reactors en masse, it's actually going to drop processors, and hopefully you get some double yellow farm set processors for yourself. And that's going to be it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. As usual, the support for the First Descendant content has been fantastic. Tomorrow we'll continue on with builds and weapons and stuff like that. And of course, we've got the new patch coming out pretty much like a little bit more than a week from now, which is going to have the extra waves of void erosion and all that stuff. But as always, fucking cheers.